Welcome to the roller coaster ride of business with Hannah Edwards on Global Voice Radio. Hannah and her guests share the real deal, the ups and downs, the highs and lows of building a business. Here is your host, Hannah Edwards.
Hello and welcome to the roller coaster ride of business. My name's Hannah Edwards, and this week I'm joined by the lovely Denise Joy Thompson, who is the founder of Global Voice Radio, and we're going to be talking about women in business because this week in the US is National Entrepreneurship Week, and coming up in March it's International Female Week and Women's History Month. So, hi Denise, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you, Hannah, for having me on your show. I am so excited to be talking about women in business, and especially because that's what you and I do, right? We are
exactly
women in business, and we want to support other women in business and just acknowledge everything that women globally are doing.
Exactly. I don't think women get enough recognition. I mean, so much is happening now. Like women in the UK, more of them are starting up their own businesses now rather than staying employed in their jobs. Like it's almost 1.5 million women in the UK now have started their own business people, and 17% of them account for self-employed business owners.
Well, you know, one of the things that supports women becoming business owners is the fact that there are so many opportunities.
Exactly.
And I think historically, you know, everybody got a job. That's what we were taught to do. We were taught to go to school, to earn a degree. We were taught to get a skill. And then we were taught to work for someone else, to work for these business owners, usually men, who had large companies, who were making millions of dollars and had hundreds or thousands of employees.
Yeah.
But women, until, you know, a few years ago, between maybe 5 and 10, we were not encouraged to go out and start our own business.
Exactly. If you think about it, it's not actually that long ago that women weren't even able to have a job. So I think we've come an awful long way, but there's still a lot more business-wise support. I mean, I mentioned in my second show when I was talking about starting a business that there's not actually, in comparison of men and women to business, it's like there's so many more men than there are women because women are just too afraid to step forward and shout about their business.
Well, and I think one of the things that you and I and other women business owners, we can be role models, we can support, we can encourage other women to step forward. And I
exactly
do acknowledge the fact that there are so many network marketing companies that provide opportunities for women. To me, having a direct sales business and really working that business, creating a team, selling a product, selling a service, that is as much of a business from my perspective as, you know, what I have created and what I do and what you are doing in providing VA services.
Exactly.
And so I think that has created a large number of business owners who provide or who are with a direct marketing company.
The thing is, like, they get over here, we call it like multi-level marketing or network marketing, but they get such a bad rep because you get people looking down at them going, well, you haven't started your own business, you've bought a package from a company that started it for you. But they don't automatically have their customers. They've still got to go out and market themselves and promote themselves, build their websites and their Facebook pages and network to people. And actually quite a lot of my friends are network marketers, and you see in them, they're going through the exact same thing that you and I are doing with our businesses.
Right. So I and I have a lot of women in my network who have, who do direct sales, who provide a product. They are providing a service and products to people who need them, right?
Yeah.
So yes, they need to structure their business. They need to figure out their taxes. They need to figure out how are they going to make money, right? What's your expenses? What's your income? So definitely, and I think that with the boom of women in direct sales, I think that has created a whole new culture and provides us with examples of how women can create businesses that also support them having a family, having children, and being involved in their families and children's activities. So I definitely give a shout out to all of those women business owners whose business is direct sales.
I mean, I think it's a bigger thing in America than it is over here in England. But over here, like in America, they seem to be getting a lot more support than what I've seen over here. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I've tried it myself, and I ended up giving up because it was just one of those things that I was like, my virtual assistant business was more important to me than this. But the products over here, they just seem so expensive compared to our like rate of living that none of my friends were able to afford them. But in America, it seems a whole lot different. Like there's a lot more people that are making massively successful businesses out of it, and they're affording to give up their day jobs to stay at home and network market, like, and do their jobs and spend time with their families. They are running a business.
Right. And I don't, not living in the UK and seeing what you're seeing, I'm not sure exactly why that difference is there. Now, I know that there are some products that have recently opened up in Asia and Australia, which historically or traditionally, they were only in the United States. So I think the trade agreements or getting products from the States into other countries, that, there's some red tape with that.
Yeah. I mean, one of them has just actually come over here. I don't know how you say it. Is Monat or Monat?
I think it's Monet. I'm not sure. Yeah, the hair.
I'm just taking it the literal one from how you spell it, so I have no clue. But it launched here this week in the UK, and the prices seem all right. I'm looking at possibly buying some of the products when I get paid. But, they do look like they're going to be doing really well because there's not really anything over here that is specifically for hair products. We've got Avon, that's a mix of everything. We've got New Skin, that's a mix of everything. Ann Summers, obviously we all know what Ann Summers is. There's nothing over here that is purely for hair products. So I think they've got a big market that they can jump into.
Right. So, and several of my colleagues here in the States sell those products. So if we didn't pronounce it quite the right way, I think they'll let us know. And also,
I've got a couple on my Facebook list that I'm waiting for them.
How come you didn't know how to pronounce my company? But also, I have friends who work with Nerium, and I know Nerium just opened up in Australia.
Wow.
And Young Living essential oils, which I use Young Living, and I love the essential oils, and that's opening up or is going into Asia. And so there are different products and different companies that women all over the world can join and create their own business.
Exactly. So there's all these people that saying that, like, when you start it, you're going to give up. And obviously, like I said, I admit I did give up, but I had other priorities at the time. But there's all these people that are there saying, oh, you're not going to get a market for it. And it's all going into different countries already. It's going worldwide. So how can there not be a market for it?
Right. Well, one of the things that you had mentioned is you also had a focus of your virtual assistant business.
Yeah.
And so to me, it is okay for someone to start a network marketing company and find that it's not for them because you have a passion for something else.
Yeah, exactly. It's like with any business. I mean, I could have started a virtual assistant business and then gone, oh, actually, no, it's not for me. And no one would have looked down at me for that. But you find that a lot of people that find that network marketing isn't for them, when they give up, everyone's like, oh, well, see, it didn't work. So there's a shame around doing network marketing that there isn't around other businesses. And I don't believe that should happen.
No, and I think part of that could have been in the past when the network marketing businesses or a similar type of business was structured in a way that it seemed more like a pyramid scheme, or something was not
Yeah.
right in how it was set up. But
Yeah.
I see so many women today that are being successful. But a person also, as with any business, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's virtual services, whether it's coaching, whether it's network marketing, we have to work at it, right? It's not
Exactly.
a hobby. If you want it to support you and to create income, then we have to work at whatever type of business we have.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same amount of work doing any of those businesses as it is to do another one. So, and one thing you find is we're talking about women in business, it's the women that get the bad rep for doing it. It's not the companies, it's the women that get that rep. Oh, it's another network marketer. It's another pyramid scheme that woman has fallen for. So I think with the fact that it's International Women's Day coming up on March 8th, we need to be like shunning that, to like that stigma and that shame around it all. I think every woman needs to stand up and shout about their business.
Exactly. And one of the things, and along that same line of thought that you just shared, I see it's other women oftentimes putting down other women business owners.
Yes.
And we need to be more supportive. And sometimes, direct sales, sometimes the upline may teach the team members to spam a little bit. But for me, if I receive a message and I don't want the message, I can delete it.
Yes.
I don't need to then post about it or complain about it or call out someone because they're new, they're excited, and they maybe sent me more than one message. It's
Exactly.
Walmart sends me messages. Microsoft sends me messages. I get messages from a lot of other business, but then I don't call them out and shame them like you just mentioned.
Yeah, and I think now, especially with everything that's been happening and all these women's rights being at the forefront, because it is 100 years since women in the UK got the vote. So I think now women need to stand up and support other women, stop the shaming. We need to be supporting everyone. Everyone's got a right to have a business. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be supporting the men as well, but obviously our topic of conversation is women in business today. But, we've all supported the men to start their businesses, and now it's our turn.
Exactly. And there is so many opportunities in our world. And I want to talk, so we talked about network marketing, which is a very accessible opportunity for women to get their feet wet in starting a business.
Yes.
But I also want to acknowledge what you are doing in creating a virtual assistant business. So talk a little bit about how you created that and what does it take for you to have this online virtual? So you are global, you are international. So talk a little bit about that platform and network.
Okay, well, to be honest with you, up until maybe 2-3 years ago, I hadn't even heard of virtual assistants because there are more of them in America and countries like the Philippines and everywhere than there are in the UK. So it's only just starting to become a thing in the UK within the past 2, maybe 3 years. I know before that there were some virtual assistants, but now it's starting to become a bigger thing. so I heard about it and decided it interested me, looked into it a bit more, and then I used social media, which last week I said social media is a fantastic way to promote your business. And I've got a lot of women friends on Facebook that are using their social media. So I clicked on a few profiles and groups and stuff like that, found that it's what I wanted to do, brushed up on my skills, and then decided to give it a go. Like with network marketing, I jumped on into it to see what would happen, and here I am a year later.
Right. Well, one of the things, Hannah, about what you just said is it doesn't have to be difficult to decide what your business is going to be. I mean, you did some research. You probably already had some skills in the area of being a virtual assistant. You then learned some more, you brushed up on your skills, and now you are promoting yourself in providing skills and services that every business owner needs.
Exactly. And I think it's becoming a bigger thing over here because business owners are finding that it's actually cheaper to outsource some of their work to a virtual assistant than it is to having to pay people to be in their offices as their PAs. Like, obviously, hiring me as a virtual assistant, there's no holiday pay, there's no sick pay. It cuts down their costs massively. So virtual assistant services are becoming a big thing right now.
And even for someone like me and my team for Global Voice Radio, I don't need a full-time accountant or bookkeeper on my staff, but I'm going to need someone who, does the books so I can turn them into my CPA that I pay to do my taxes. So a virtual assistant, earlier we talked about network marketers. So even for a network marketer, they could use a virtual assistant, their books, or to help them with their client management system. So
social media promotions.
Exactly, especially if someone doesn't know social media.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what kind of services do you provide in regards to social media management?
I use Canva to create any of the graphics and stuff. Some people will send me across their graphics. Some people will give me the information that they want put on a graphic and get me to make it. And then I log in. I'm normally made an admin on their page rather than having their logins, like on Facebook. Twitter, I have to have their login. LinkedIn, I would have to have their login. Instagram and Pinterest, I would have to have their login. But with Facebook, I get made admin or manager of their pages and their groups. And then I literally use the scheduler to schedule out all of their media and ensure that it goes out, respond to people's comments that are put on there. Anything important that I think it needs to be the business owner that responds to, I pass it on to them. But it frees up so much of their time, especially for the network marketers who are doing it to be able to spend time with their family. Me doing their social media, because I don't have children, I have all of that free time. So me doing their social media, or helping with their website, sorting out their newsletters for MailChimp and things like that, it means that they get an extra 2, maybe 3 hours with their children or their husband, or even if they haven't got children, just doing something else that could help their business.
Well, and the other thing is, by you doing social media management, some other administrative tasks, for me, if I get to spend more time with potential clients, with potential hosts, I am building my business.
Exactly.
Because if I spend so many hours doing things that do not generate income, then my business isn't growing. So I think all of us as business owners can look at what are the other business owners out there doing, and how can we collaborate? How can we hire? How can we have this synergistic relationship that builds both businesses.
Exactly. And I think by having a virtual assistant, it allows them to go out and obviously network more. I mean, over here, networking meetings are becoming a massive thing right now. So it allows them to go off and gain more clients, or just put it out there that this is the business that they're doing, which if they're stuck behind the computer doing the stuff that I do for them, that it's just a waste of time for them. But with me helping, it's like you said, it's bringing in more income, it's getting themselves known. Because if they go to a networking meeting, they might not get any sales that day, but it doesn't mean that a week down the line that person they met isn't going to phone them up and be like, hey, you gave me your business card. And that all comes from me taking on their social media and their general admin tasks.
Right, exactly. So what else are you seeing in the UK in regards to women business owners? What other types of businesses are popping up, are women creating in the UK?
There are so many. I mean, we've got PR businesses that are doing better than big company PRs. We've even got people that do handmade soaps and the bath bombs, the balls that you put in your bath and they all fizz out everywhere. Like the stuff that you buy in a Lush store. They're all popping up all over the place. Like I'm going to give her a shout out. I've seen her on Instagram. There's a girl that runs a Bex Fast business and she makes vegan and healthy oatmeal breakfast pots. And I've been fair play to her. I've watched her on Instagram and she is literally gone from delivering these pots on a Saturday to us like by herself to all these different people all over London, and London's not a tiny place, to having a pop-up stand in the middle of Westfield shopping centre, to actually getting it to the point now that she's having them being delivered by a delivery service all over England. Like her business has exploded and she's doing all of this with her child. So like there's all sorts. We've got such a massive variety like that women are doing right now that it's amazing to watch, and it makes you proud to be a woman when you're watching another woman succeed at setting up her business, no matter what it is.
Right. And earlier you also said, I am not anti-men. I see the value of men and women.
Absolutely.
In our life, right? We cannot do without one or the other. We
no,
all
exactly.
are here together.
Yes.
I think, though, that women are catching up. Women are now having the opportunities that in the past they weren't there.
Exactly.
And I truly think that men appreciate women in the marketplace also. Most of the men are supportive of women. We know that there are some men out there that are not, but most of the men, I don't really see getting into my business. I don't see them trying to stop me. I don't see them putting up a barrier. So
exactly. It's like over here, there are male virtual assistants, but even online, the majority of virtual assistants I've seen are women, and they're women that are helping male CEOs. So even those CEOs are seeing the benefit of hiring like a virtual assistant, doesn't matter whether it's female or male, it's just amazing, like the fact that we are actually closing that gap between the men and women in the workplace.
Right. And the other thing that can be a benefit for women having their own business is figuring out the work hours. Once you get started, right? In the beginning, we're working 24/7 trying to build up.
Yes.
But once we get it going, there's some flexibility in being your own boss.
Yes, there is. And it is fantastic. I've said in shows before, I still have my full-time job. So I'm still working all the hours under the sun at that job and then on my businesses. And it's going to be amazing that day that I get to sit there and say, I've given up the full-time job. I'm now fully working from home, on my radio show, on my virtual assistant business, in my magazine. Never know, 3 years down the line, I might have another 6 or 7 businesses on the go. But that's the freedom of being your own boss. You don't have to have just 1 or 2 businesses.
Right, right. And the other thing, depending on how we structure the business, it's almost like having one umbrella business, but there's different revenue streams, or
Yes.
there's different products, but it all fits. Or someone can do something totally different and it doesn't even have to correlate or fit into an umbrella business. But oftentimes that's what we do, is figure out what's another stream of income that I can add to my original business.
Exactly. I mean, in my virtual assistant business, I'm creating ebooks to be able to sell online. So they're going to come from my virtual assistant business to go online on my website and sell through there to bring in that extra revenue. I have a blog that I will eventually monetize. I'm in the early stages of it at the moment, but I talk about, although it's not under the same name as my magazine and my virtual assistant business, because they're all under my Empowered brand, it's gonna be linked to it because I mention my businesses in my blog posts. And in the magazine, I mentioned the fact that I'm a virtual assistant and a blogger. On the radio show, that's under a completely different name altogether from the others. But it ties in with my businesses because I talk about virtual assistant stuff, magazine stuff, blogging. And like the fact that you can have so many different businesses but still be able to link them up so they're all the same sort of revenue stream is amazing.
Right. And you just provided an outstanding tip. So for our listeners, if you didn't catch it the first time, because Hannah, you mentioned how you are linking, you're mentioning, you're bringing together all of your businesses. And I think sometimes we think, okay, I need to market this, and I need to market this. And people are not linking, connecting, tagging, everything that they're doing, because all of that is you, Hannah, the business owner, marketing and creating visibility. So that was great for you to mention how you connect your virtual assistants, your magazine, your blog, the radio show. Everything is linking really back to you as a business owner.
I mean, overall, everything will come under my Empowered brand. It's just that they're not all going to have the same names because there's not that many variations that you could put things as empowered this, empowered that. So my 2 main businesses are my empowered ones. And then I will eventually have, as I call it, my empire. So I will have my empowered empire that has my magazine, my virtual assistant, my radio show, my blog. I don't know, a few years down the line, I might have a cupcake business. Who knows? But it will all be linked under because I'll be talking about it on my radio show. I'll be writing about it in the magazine, and on the blog, I'll be talking about how I managed to fit another business into it all. So it will literally all link one under the other.
Exactly. And I think, one of the thoughts that just came to mind as I was listening to you, Hannah, share about your businesses. And of course, I hear the passion and the fun in your voice, which we definitely want to have in our life. But also the thought came to mind is, look at what technology is allowing us to do today.
Absolutely.
You're in the UK, I'm in the US, where I don't know how many time zones apart, and we're having this great discussion and supporting each other, and it's just amazing what technology.
It's 7:20 at night right now. I'm talking something like time zone confuses me like mad because you're literally hours behind me. So I just find it really strange that whilst I'm in the evening, there's still someone in that daytime of that day I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Australia and all of that side, they're halfway through the night, ready for tomorrow. It's like, but
Right,
the
but
technology connects it all.
right, it allows our connections, and it allows women business owners to collaborate around the world.
It does, and it's insane. I mean, we featured people before we did our relaunch of the magazine, we featured people from Egypt and everyone. So we've had downloads in Egypt, in Australia, in all pretty much 3/4 of Europe, and in America. And like, you'd sit there and you're just like, it's amazing. I've created something that someone in another country is downloading and reading and maybe wanting to become a part of, and then I can connect them. I mean, we connected in a group because obviously there was UK contacts for you. It was another contact for me that I can talk to about business and feature in the magazine and everything, because Global Voice Radio does feature in Empowered magazine every single month, which I think is fantastic.
Well, and I think that is what women business owners can do for each other.
Exactly.
Create these collaborative relationships and support one another. You know, I truly believe there is no lack and there's no competition in our world, because there's so many people who need our services, who want our products. We just need to make sure that we are visible.
Yes.
So that they can find us.
And this is the problem with the fact that women, I mentioned it in a show I put up, it'll be 2 weeks ago now, that women feel like they're overshadowed by men. So only like 12% of women that have their own businesses are standing up and shouting about it. And I think it's sad that there are still women feeling overshadowed like that, because they'll probably find that those men are actually supportive of them.
Right. And I think some of the women who have an idea that men are holding them back, I think that that's a story of yesterday.
Absolutely.
And I see a lot of men are concentrating on their business, are concentrating on themselves. I don't see men going out and picketing against women. And
No,
maybe I miss those things happening in the world and I need to pay more attention. But I really think if a woman steps out, steps up, and starts talking about her business and sharing the business, oftentimes it's even another woman who may bring them down and make a snarky comment, but it's not usually the men.
No, exactly. I mean, there are industries that were particularly male dominated that women have broken into, and they're doing just as well, if not better, because our brains work differently to the men. So women are coming in and going, actually, if you do this like this, you're going to make your processes faster, which means income's going to come higher. I mean, like the building industry, for example, there's a lot of women now breaking into that. And not even 10, maybe 15 years ago, that was a fully male dominated area that women wouldn't dream of going into.
Right, right. You know, it was interesting to me, several months ago, women wanted, it was like, well, put a black square on your Facebook to indicate what if women weren't here. And my thought was, well, what if men did that? There was a day where women wanted to say, well, let's not go to work as women. And then I thought, well, what if men did that? Now, I know and I want to acknowledge that there's differences in men and women. And men have had advantages in a lot of ways that women have not.
Yes.
But today, we as women need to come together, be supportive of each other so that we can close that gap of advantages and not keep blaming men or blaming society, because we are society. So
We
we
are.
can
We're making
change.
it what it is.
Correct. And when we talk about, one of the things about women, we influence 80% of the buying power.
Exactly. Like, that's a massive percentage, and yet women are still going up see, social media is fantastic for promoting your business, but it's also damaging in the fact that it's literally turning around and saying you can post whatever you want up, and more often than not women are posting and they're complaining, I want to say, about how society is, and it's just like, well, actually society is what you make it to be. So instead of complaining about it, go out and change it. You want to go and work on a building site, get your high-vis vest on and off you go. But don't sit behind your computer or on your telephone, because our phones can do it all now, complaining about the fact that you're not able to break into that industry, because you don't know until you go out and try it.
Right. And I will admit, and there may be men who would admit this, but as a woman, or me personally, I don't want to climb a really, really tall building and put that last piece of wood or brick on top. I don't.
But there are women out there that do.
Right. I don't want, I've been in the military. I don't want to be on the front line in combat. That's me personally. I will support people. And if I am told to go and do that, then I will. But there's certain things that I personally don't want to do, but I will support another woman who wants to be a firefighter, wants to be a cop, wants to be a fighter pilot, wants to be on the construction site. I will support them in doing that. But for me personally, that's not what I want to do. I want things a little bit safer, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. And one of the things that came to mind, Hannah, is we are talking about so many different topics that there's don't want to talk about these things. And as women business owners, we can be role models. We can talk about things that other people are afraid to bring up.
Exactly.
And
but I think sometimes women are scared about it. Like, they sit there and they're worrying that they're going to be judged by the men if they open their mouths and say something. But more often than not, we're going to find that women agree with us that actually society is what we make it. So if we're feeling that men have all the power and we're not equal, and that gap needs to be closed, that's because we're sat there letting the men have all that power and make us not be equal. We need to be the ones that open up our businesses, that compete in the different industries, that join the businesses that were male dominated. Like, we can't sit there and say, I'm not starting my business because there's a man that does that.
Right. And I also want to support women who want a job, who likes the security of a paycheck. I support women who stay home and they are a mom and they take care of their children and they take care of the house. Those women are just as important to our society, to our world, as someone who goes out and builds a business. Yeah. So when we are being authentic, when we are doing things that make us happy and serve other people, all of us can make those choices.
Absolutely. I mean, again, women look down on other women that are, not all women, but some women look down on other women that are stay-at-home mums. Because, and you'll find sometimes it is network marketing, because network marketing can be a really tough industry for women, purely because other women are making those snarky comments. So, and it's those women that are making those snarky comments that look down at the stay-at-home mums that are like, well, I've got kids, I've managed to do it, so why aren't you? But if it's not that stay-at-home mum's passion, if she wants to stay at home and look after her children, then that's her choice, and we should be supporting her.
Right. Well, Hannah, you have brought up so many great points, and I'm so appreciative that you've had me on your show and that we've been able to have this dialogue.
It's been a fantastic show. Like, I'm going to say it's the most liveliest one so far, and I've only had 4 shows.
Well, Hannah, you are such a great role model for younger women who are stepping up and stepping out. I think for me at my age, some of us are just starting to build our business after careers. Yeah. And so it's wonderful that someone your age and my age can have these discussions and show other women that there really is no barrier or no boundaries in regards to creating your own business.
Definitely. And I'm hoping that throughout my show, people are going to feel that they can contact us on the Global Voice Radio Facebook page and say their bits about what's been said on my show. And I'm hoping that they're going to find some of it great and supportive, because that is what the show is about. I'm sharing my experiences, your experiences, and other people's experiences, so that they don't necessarily have to go through all the difficulties that we've gone through when starting our businesses, because we're sharing those points with them.
Exactly. So thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for joining me. You can find Denise on the Global Voice Radio page on Facebook, and you can find me there as well. You can also find me on Facebook at Empowered VA or at Empowered Magazine. And thank you for listening, and I'm back next week. I can't wait. It's really exciting. Thank you for joining us, Denise.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for listening. Join Hannah Edwards and the roller coaster ride of business every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio, where your voice is heard.